Hello. Today we're going to look at reasons to start your new business at a market stall. I'm going to tell you my story, how I started 15 years ago and have continued doing market stalls ever since. But also what you'll learn from doing your first day at a market stall. You will find out if your business idea is viable, if the price points that you've selected are going to be well received, or if you could up them, or if you need to lower them. You'll find specific information about your products, say which ones sell better than others, which flavours are more popular, which odours work better for your audience. And also you'll find out about what kind of audience responds well to your product. You may be lucky enough to have the perfect audience, but you might also decide that you can spread your wings a bit further. But the most important thing you will learn is how fantastic it is to be able to earn the amount of money that you can earn for yourself. So let's start. So all those years ago, I was a single parent, not much income at all, but I always knew I wanted to start a business of some sort. I didn't know how or how I would achieve this, but I kept looking at businesses and would think, oh, that's a good business, that's a good business. And I had this bee in my bonnet about fudge. I adored fudge, but I didn't find it, I didn't really have enough money to spend on unnecessaries. But I really thought there was a good business to be had with it. Anyway, I tried making it on various occasions, disaster, 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 until there's one time where it worked fantastically. And a friend of mine, who happened to be very big in charity fairs, shows, country fairs, she happened by and tasted it. And she knew that I always wanted a business of some sort, but she tasted it and thought, oh my goodness, this is the best fudge I've ever eaten. And she said, you should sell it at a show that she happened to know that someone had dropped out of, and it was in a week's time. Now, I hadn't even considered selling this for a living. I was just, one of these dreamers who thought, oh, that'd be good, that'd be good. Anyway, she wouldn't leave the house until she made me telephone the organisers and get myself a pitch. Anyway, I secured the gig, somehow, and I had a week to get enough stock ready for a 2-day show. I didn't quite realise it was a 2-day show when I first booked it, but I had to get enough stock ready for a 2-day show with absolutely no experience. Anyway, once I got the gig, my friend left, and I was in a bit of a panic mode, rabbit in the headlights, and thought, how much stock do I need to make? And I was very new to this fudge making, or successful fudge making, and anyway, for some reason I decided that 180 bars would be fine. So the day came, or the night before came, and I got my children were there helping me wrap it all, and my children were about 7 and 8, and they were helping me make each packet very pretty, labelling. Anyway, loaded up my car with my stock. All I took was my stock. I understood that you needed to bring a table with you, and I happened to have a spare table, which was a picnic table, a foldable picnic table from my garden. So I took that, and I took a tablecloth and a computer printout of the price. Fudge bars, £2.50 each, that was it. So I had these 4 items, and off I went. Actually, to tell a lie, I had 5 items, I had a bit of float with me as well. Off I went. And when I arrived, it was a stately home, beautiful building. And I got inside the building, and the person who dropped out was a top seller there, and she had the best pitch, which was now mine. And it was a beautiful double bay window. And I arrived in the room, which was called the library, with gold wallpaper on the walls, which was coming off, but it was too expensive to replace because it was actually gold. And I was allocated this pitch. I put down my table, it was this sort of size, in this great big bay window area. I put it down, I put on my tablecloth, which was actually very grotty, to be fair. And then I put my fudge on and put my sign on. And to be fair, I was mortified by the quality, or about my quality, because the stalls about me were gorgeous. To this side, I had a pearl seller selling jewels, and the lighting was fantastic and they were all shining. To the other side, I had someone selling clothing, hunting, shooting, fishing clothing, beautiful tweeds. Opposite, I had a very posh photography artwork person, and then someone selling hats, someone selling silk scarves. It was all very, very upmarket. And then there was me, with my very sad-looking stall. But I think it was probably too late for the organisers to fill the space by then. So anyway, the doors opened at 10 o'clock, and I stood there, very nervous. And people came in, and I had the foresight to bring a little taster pot with some little tasters in it. Have a taste, have a taste, have a taste. And they tasted, and they bought. And they bought, and they bought, and they bought. So surprised. And they bought rather fast. And by 12 o'clock, in 2 hours, I had sold out of every single bit of stock that I brought with me. So I went to the organisers and said, I'm so sorry, but I've run out of stock. I need to go home and make more. So they let me go. I took my empty boxes home, left everything else, and cooked all night. Made a similar amount again the next day, or as much as I could manage. Came back the next day, and the same thing happened. And you can imagine, I was amazed. Now, some of the lessons I learned at that were, one, that this was a viable business, obviously. When I went into it to do the show that my friend had suggested, I didn't think long term about, oh, this could be a business. I did it more because I didn't want to lose face, because I'd always talked about wanting to have a business. And she gave me the opportunity pretty much on a plate. And at that point, I couldn't then say no. I wanted to be consistent. So that's why I was motivated to do it. But I didn't think long term. I didn't think beyond my nose. So that taught me that this was a really viable business. And the second thing was the price. I put my little notice up about the price of £2.50. When I came back for the second day, my notice had been scrubbed out. The price had been rubbed out by obviously other stallholders, and they changed it to £4 a bar. And I thought, ooh. So I went with it, and again I sold out at that price. And that's what the price is to this day, the very same. So 2 things I learned. Another thing I learned was the specifics about the product. One, that the feedback I got was extraordinary, and this was from an upmarket audience. I learned that out of the 2 flavours I took a chocolate and vanilla, that the vanilla outsold the chocolate, I don't know, 3 to 1. So that was another learning. Of course, the other thing was I learnt who my people were, my tribe, my audience. I learnt that this audience that I was performing to were my people. So to get the same results, I needed to replicate that. But since then, I actually learnt that my audience is far wider than that. I was just lucky on that day to find an audience who could afford to buy it. But the most important thing I learned from that experience, and it changed my life, was that you can earn a significant amount of money having your own business, and you don't need much outlay. What did I need? I paid for the stall after having earned it. All I needed was the money to buy the sugar, the butter, the milk, to create my product, and very little else. So you can do it on a very, very small budget. But what it taught me ultimately, and above everything else, obviously having your own business, that you can do it, was the freedom that having your own business and being your own boss grants you. You can do things in the way that you want to do it. No one is dictating anything to you, and that is worth gold. Thank you for watching. Our next video is going to be about market stall ideas that are proven to work. Give us a thumbs up. Thank you. Bye.